What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex the Podcast. The patch notes for Season 18 are out, and we are going to go through them. And then on the back end, after the interview, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the roster mania changes that are going on right now as we head into Champs. But, ladies and gents, before we get into all of that good stuff, let's check in with the boys first. E, how are you feeling, my man?
Doing good. Nothing to complain about. And just a lot to be thankful for, just waking up and getting to put in some work. And then getting to spend time with people who I love and enjoy is always nice. And so been doing a decent amount of that lately. And so got nothing to complain about.
I saw your leg.
I did get to go hiking. Yeah. Went hiking. Me and my best friend Ben, we had gone all the way up to like this 3-mile trail. We got rained on, which was not fun. Like pouring down rain. Like I'm talking like actual like storm. Very, very bad. Like at one point, like this trail that we were down, it crossed over a riverbed so many different times, like at least like 8+ times. And like the first time I did it, I took my shoes off because I was like, I'm going to try to keep it dry. By the end of this hiking experience, I was straight up walking down like the middle of a creek, just trying to get back onto the trail because we went all the way through the trail and then we found this road that at the end of it. And so we thought that, like, I don't know why, but he was convinced that the trail was a circle instead of just go back down the way you came. And so we went down this road for a fairly long time. It was a pretty traily road. Like if you looked at it, it was like, how are there like tire tracks here? Like what are they? Like what vehicle is getting through this environment? Because a normal car is definitely not going to be able to make it down that road. And so we got to a point where we either were going to turn back and go like 3 hours and 18 minutes would have been like the total time, or we could take a shortcut going just through the wild. And so we did that, I almost palmed a giant brown spider. We walked across, there was a giant, not like giant, but like a fairly decently sized snake that we almost walked up on, that we then got very, very far away from, and then a much smaller snake. But I'm not going to lie, I would never recommend to anybody that they ever go off trail again, no matter how much time you save, because like you're going to pay. Like there's no shortcut. Like it's
a good life
you
lesson.
are going to pay. You are going to suffer. And there was at one point where we were like decently far through, and we were like climbing up like this, like very steep incline of a hill, dodging thorns and just grabbing from tree to tree, like pulling up and like finding something, pulling ourselves up. And I was like starting to get mad, and I was like, this is such a mistake. Like, why did we do this? I was like starting to get mad at my buddy for suggesting it, but then I remember it was like I agreed to it. Like I can't be mad at anybody but myself for putting myself in this situation. And then I realized something that I say all the time. I was like, well, I'm only going to get to do this once. I might as well enjoy it as much as possible. And I definitely got to the point of like physical exhaustion and just unpleasant experience as we were just going through this absolute just wilderness, and then walking down this creek that we found like a sub creek from the main creek, and we used that to get back and find our way as we were using his phone to like just make sure we were keeping a good heading to eventually end up with the trail. But I realized that I was only going to experience once, and I might as well enjoy it as much as possible. And so I actually had like a really great time, even though my external circumstances were probably some of the most miserable I've experienced in a long time. Like genuinely had fun with it and definitely suffered. Definitely got to a point where I just ran out of fucks to give, and I just like did not care. I was just like, because a lot of the time that's like one of my favorite things about hikes, especially long ones, is you get to a point where like regularly you'd be like, oh, I'm shocked. Like I want to go inside. I want to take a shower. I want to go like play some video games and just relax, because you're like, I'm torched. And like you have an entire hike left ahead of you because you can't just quit in the middle of the woods. So you just keep going and going and going, and you just get to a point where your body wise is just so chalked where you're just like, I don't care. And you go. It was fun. I love hiking. Good time.
Pissed off for greatness, essentially, is what that sounds like. Because it's like you can't quit now, so you gotta keep going. Also, I think you have a.
Well, it's
go.
what? Oh, I was just saying, it's not like pissed off. It's just like
Whatever.
You're so like when you're in that much of like an uncomfortable situation for that long amount of time, you just stop caring, and you're just like, I just don't care. Like I would walk through like the middle of the creek, and I'd go like super deep, and my shoes were little like buckets of water, and I just did not give a fuck. I just ran out of fucks to give, and I was just walking, and I knew the whole time I was like, I'm gonna make it back, and it's gonna be nice, and it's gonna be fun, and so might as well enjoy it as much as possible. And I actually had a fun time in a very much externally like miserable situation, which was good. It was a W.
Wet socks, dude. I can't handle wet socks. That's like one of those things for me. I like just thinking about wet socks. That's got to be tough. But I'm glad you made it
I would say that the majority of people that I know would have been like bitching and complaining like the entire time. And it was definitely a situation where it would have been completely justified. But yeah, it was a good opportunity to not do that.
Wet socks got to be top 10 most uncomfortable things and like in the world.
Fuck, top 5.
Is it top 5? I mean, I'm okay with that.
Dude, it's got to be top 5.
Or
like wet socks just suck.
Okay, wet socks, and then another one. Whenever you make a fart noise accidentally with like a chair or something, and you can't recreate it, like that's also another really uncomfortable thing.
I thought we were talking about like clothing items.
Oh, my bad.
Like,
yeah.
That's you know what? We'll
situation's
toss
awesome.
on the list. We'll toss on the list. We'll leave it there. Finn, how was your week?
That was great. I've been working out, going hard in the paint. Very excited. Specifically about this morning, I went to Walmart, got myself some protein powder, and I don't know why I'm so jacked about this, but there's protein powder, and it was Fruity Pebbles flavored, and it tastes like what the milk tastes like after you get done eating some Fruity Pebbles, and that's like my actual protein shake. And so I'm like, this is great. I see this as a W, because my last protein tasted horrible. So this is a big step up, and I know it's super small, but I'm very excited about it, and I'm going to continue to keep working out, eating right, eating healthy, getting my gains. Wyatt, tell me about your week.
I have been doing the same, but I am on a different path, and I want people to understand the path that I'm currently on right now. So I said a few weeks ago I had started going to the gym. First time in my life, first time ever. I just woke up one day and I decided I was tired of being the size that I am. I just was done with it. And so I started going. Now, here's the issue, though. I've never been to a gym. And I'm on social media a lot. What do you see on social media a lot? You see a lot of people using gym equipment wrong. And what do? You kind of laugh. You kind of chuckle. But then when you're in that situation, you're like, wait, I don't want to be the one using the equipment wrong. So what do? I get there. I'm looking at all this equipment. I'm like, oh, shit. I don't want to be that guy. So then I walk up to a machine. I do like a fake yawn to try and peek around, see if there's any like pictures on it to tell me what to do. Don't see it. I just walk away, act like nothing happened. I go to the treadmill. I walk. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give myself 20 minutes to just walk on this treadmill. 20 minutes turns into 40 because then I get nervous. Then I walk up to a machine. I sit down on it. I'm like, wait. How do you use this thing? I try to look it up on the app on my phone. Can't find a way to do it. I'm like, this is honestly more embarrassing than me not using the machine. But what do? I got up. I just left. I just walked out. I just got up. I just walked out. I didn't even think twice. I was just like, not today. And so basically my entire gym journey up to this point has been me walking on a treadmill. But don't get it twisted. I incline. Okay. I go up. But I haven't actually used a machine yet until last week. I sat down on a machine, tried to use it. It was like some sort of rower machine. But I sat there for 5 minutes. I didn't feel anything at all. And I was like, okay, clearly there's a problem here. So I've called in some help. I've got some help coming with me tonight. They're going to actually help me. They're going to come with me. one of my friends, going to show me the ropes. All I really need is the ropes shown to me. Once the ropes are shown to me, I can do it on my own for the rest of the time. But I need somebody to show me the ropes first, and I can't do it by my lonesome, which is something I need to work on as a human. But I'm not going to work on it right now. I'll work on it for another thing, for another problem, another time. That's what I'm doing. Also, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the background is much different. Look at this library.
That's a nice bookshelf. That's a nice one.
Look how sophisticated I am. We had to make room in the bedroom for the crib. So I am out here, which is actually kind of a good thing because now I'm hardwired for the first time ever. So I got to play Apex and did not lag whatsoever, which felt great. And that was cool. But I will be out here from now on. I will have to fix the lighting situation, though, because I guess in apartments it's illegal to have proper lighting. You can't have a light in the living room, I guess, in this one. So
wait, who's mandating that?
I don't know, but there's
I
literally no light.
I think it was a joke.
It was a joke. But there is no light like above me, and this is the living room. There's no light. The only lights.
You got to get a light. You got to get like a little ring light.
Yeah, let's get you a ring light.
I'm gonna have to get. I'm gonna have to get a ring
light on your old setup.
No, that was just natural lighting. Well, not natural lighting. It was the light from our room, and then also I would open up the window sometimes. But this one, there's 2 lights in the kitchen, not one in the living room, like above the couch and TV or whatever. So like, I would turn the camera around and I'd show you guys, but I'm kind of embarrassed because I have my golf clubs right next to the couch, and we don't know where to put them yet because where this desk currently sits right now is where the golf clubs used to be. Yes, in the living room, because we still don't know where to put them yet. We don't have that much room. It's just an apartment. So yeah, I'll get the ring. And then we'll be good from there. But yeah, so new setup and going to the gym, but just walking on a treadmill and thinking about using machines, which I think is better than not going at all.
100%.
You know,
100%.
I think as long as I'm allocating time to go, then I'm fine. Also, my pants were getting a little snug, getting a little tight, going for 3 weeks now. Had to start using a belt again. I'm excited. Had to start using a belt again. So we're good. We are good.
I think it's also really good, Wyatt, that you have somebody going with you because it helps keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Like that's also a really massive thing about going to the gym is having. It's so much easier to go to the gym if you have somebody else to go to the gym with.
Yes. I've also been getting fried by the other pod for not using machines yet. Which I get. I deserve to be fried for that. It's just one of those things. I never went, and I don't have that like. I've just never, I've just never done it. But I will. Steps. Yeah, I figured in my head, I was like, as long as I go, it's better than not going at all. Because at some point along the way, if you just show up, you will learn the right things to do, and that's with anything in life. If you're just able to show up, eventually you'll learn it. You just got to allocate the time. So that's where we're at. And yeah, so, okay, ladies and gents, speaking of just showing up, actually, there's no connection there between the patch notes. Speaking of the patch notes, though, we do have those.
Those did show up today. Possession. Those showed up today.
Those showed up today. That's the connection. We do have the season 18 patch notes. We're going to get through all of those here and kind of give our thoughts as we go along. Interesting notes from a casual perspective. I will say I do have some causes for concern, just for my side. I don't know if you guys have any. So we'll talk about that later on. But let's kick it off here first with the brand new legend, Revenant. We talked about him last week. I thought it was so funny that the second we talked about it and released it, like a lot of the stuff got leaked, and people already knew. People already knew it was going to happen. So let's kick it off here with the passive Assassin's Instinct. Highlight nearby visible enemies who are low on health. You can crouch, walk faster, and have improved wall climbing. Now, in the video that they had with its Timmy, friend of the program, you can now kind of wall climb horizontally, which I thought was really cool. And I liked that little adjustment to the way he can wall climb. I also like, last week, Enoch talked about how cool it was that Revenant had the wall climbing and the silent movement in his kit. They decided to keep that in with this passive, adding on to the low health, you're seeing them through little things. It looks like a little arrow indicator. So that's the passive. The tactical, Shadow Pounce. Unleash a powerful pounce forward. Hold to charge for further distances, which is like a movement ability. Also, it should be noted that Revenant is now a skirmisher. And then finally, the ultimate Forge Shadows. Forge a shroud of hardened shadows around you that blocks direct damage and regenerates after breaking. Your shadows and tactical are refreshed on knockdowns. The knockdown refresh is insane. Also, I believe you can get an assist on a knockdown and it'll still refresh. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe that to be true. And then also, if you just don't get hit for a while, it will just regenerate. And I believe it's 75 extra shield. And the other thing to note, though, if you are planning on playing Revenant, your hitbox in that form is going to be much bigger. Okay, so that is something you have to account for. Boys, how do we feel about Revenant right now?
Excited to play him. I think, I mean, by the time people hear this podcast, he'll be out for 2 days, so they'll probably have their hands on him to see how he feels in this newer form. Feels like the ultimate's going to be pretty strong. Interested to see what the tactical ends up being and what all that necessarily means in his kit. I do agree with the Enoch's take with the whole being able to like go up a wall. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's insane. Maybe like super underutilized passive, except I saw Enoch running the old school Revenant today during ranked. So maybe he.
Dude, did you see my 1v3?
I did. I saw it. It was disgusting.
Dude, that was a rough moment for. I mean, that team was horrible, but they got horked on.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what Enoch's able to do whenever he 1v3s with the newer version. But yeah, I think for me, I'm very interested to see how he fits in comp. I'm not sure if he will. I think if I'm looking at his kit, it reminds me a lot of like a Octane where his like it's all kind of about him. Obviously the jump pad's a little bit different. I think that's where the ultimates are quite different, but I think for the passive and the tactical are very kind of self abilities. So I don't know if he ends up being run. My guess is he'll probably only be a run on edge teams or like very aggressive teams that want to fight. But that's just my prediction going on. I'm interested to see what team comps people come up with and how people decide to use him. I would be surprised if he gets used in like a heavy zone like team, though. I don't know. That's my initial thoughts. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely think that he's predominantly going to see a lot more play in ranked, more so than the competitive scene. But in terms of ranked, I think that he's going to be an absolute just menace. The fact that if it is that you get your shield back on an assist from a knock, so all you have to do is when you're literally just going to be able to pull up, do a ton of entry damage, pop a bat, and get like 200 shield back, and you just be walking around on 300 HP, and all it take like it's gonna be the best 1v3 legend in the game because all you have to do is get a knock, and boom, you got 75 HP back. Yes, the hitbox is gonna be big, but 75 HP is absurd.
And he
Absolutely
regenerates.
Absurd. It's gonna be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely gonna be a Rev main. This character is gonna be insanely fun to play, and I'm looking forward to the grind and getting to give Rev a go.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know for sure if it's going to be an assist on a knock will also do it, but I've heard rumors about that. Either way, it's like a skirmisher tank. You've basically got a skirmishing tank out there running around. Imagine if he stayed in Assault Legend. Oh my god, that would have been insane.
It seems like he's like a freight train. I think he'll be great in ranked and be very annoying to go against. Like no one's gonna want to go.
Wait, what did he get moved as? He's no longer an assault.
He's
skirmisher.
He says they moved him to a skirmisher. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense, but man, if he was on assault and he had that passive, oh my gosh.
Imagine. Yeah. Okay, moving on from Rev. It should be fun. Like I really do think he will be highly played in ranked. Competitive, I'm not 100% sold yet, but also it really only takes that one team to try it out and to do it first and to be successful with it for other teams to start following suit. So we'll see what happens there. Interested to see what happens there. The map rotation is going to be Broken Moon, Kings Canyon, and Olympus. So no World's Edge and no Storm Point for what feels like the first time in forever that we haven't had at least one of those in there. So those ones will be in the new map rotation, which is weird because I thought that there was a teaser for storm changes coming to Storm Point. So either they decided to move those back for like the split or whatever it may be, but I do think we will see Storm Point come back at some point this season because of the teasers on the map. But right now, Broken Moon, Kings Canyon, Olympus. Let's move to the ring update. There is a bunch here, and I'm not going to read every single one. But there are ring changes here. Ring behavior across maps in the BR has been updated with targeted tunings, including ring size, damage, and timings to several game phases to improve pacing in early and mid-game. Here's an in-depth look. So the ring size changes. Ring 1 has increased by 10% in radius per map, resulting in a 20% larger Ring 1 surface area. No other ring sizes were changed, and the ring damage changes. Ring 2 damage increased from 3 per tick to 4 per tick, and Ring 4 damage reduced from 20 per tick to 15 per tick. Now, the rest of these ring changes is basically what they're doing is they're shrinking the amount of times in between these ring change, like when the ring starts, and changing the speeds up. And basically what they're kind of looking at here, if you look at the bottom, it says maximum match length has been shortened. Small maps reduced to about 19 minutes. It was at about 21 and a half. And then large map reduced to 20 minutes, which was about 22 and a half. So they're looking for quicker games, trying to get through the matches a little bit faster, especially for the smaller maps, which makes sense considering it's going to be Kings Canyon back in the rotation with Olympus. Because I think it's World's Edge and Storm Point are the biggest, are they not? Or is Broken Moon up there?
I think the bigger maps are Storm Point. It's got to be Broken Moon, and then probably World's Edge. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Broken Moon might be up there, but either way, they're looking to reduce the amount of time in game and make those like mid fights go a little bit faster. And I will say, from a casual side of things, it makes sense considering that right now, if you're playing casuals, trios, or duos, by the time Ring 1 is over, most of the time there's already only 8 squads left, if that. There have been games I've played where Ring 1 is up and there's 3 squads left. I'm not shitting you, like multiple games the last week. So I think what they're trying to do is condense it a little bit better. And I like that move. I like that change. As far as competitive goes, where do you guys see this going, if anywhere at all?
I think where the bigger things were, like, I think it'll make competitive games feel faster, which I think is good. I think there is a little bit of a lull that happens, and I mean, you see it in the broadcast from ALGS. They're just having to fill time, kind of, and so I'm interested in that. But I think one of the bigger changes is going to be later down the line with the replicator changes of how much a med kit now costs to what it used to. So it went up to 20 to 15, but we'll get to that whenever it gets there. But I think this doesn't really hurt edge teams. I don't think it hurts as much as people maybe are thinking that it will, but they could end up playing differently whenever they end up doing scrims. So it's something to keep my eyes out for, but it doesn't seem like, I think this is just an overall great change for everything across the board, from competitive all the way down to pubs.
Yeah, I think it'll make the ranked games go by faster. And in terms of comp, I really think that, at least looking at the numbers wise, it doesn't look as big as I was originally going to think. I had some people saying that Ring 1 was going to be like Ring 3 was, and that is just simply not the case. And yeah, I think it's going to be a big to be determined on how well this plays out. And I'm excited. I think it's just definitely, if it does make Edge worse, I think the biggest thing that it'll do is it'll just get everybody, and Sikezz is going to talk about this a little bit, but have everybody on the more hybrid play style and make everybody get to the point where they can effectively play zone and play Edge comfortably, which is a skill that not every team has.
Yeah, so those are the rank changes. Or sorry, not the rank changes. That is the ring changes. We're going to get into the rank changes right now. Obviously, we already talked about the ranked blog that came back a few weeks ago, but now they have actual numbers for us to break down here. So remember, this is what they wanted from these rank changes. The LP table is adjusted. LP gain overall has been reduced. So the ladder points overall, like a big reduction in that. And then the Diamond Plus cost adjustments, 50% increased in the loss category. So for instance, if we take a look here, Season 17, when you won a ranked game, you got 200 LP. This season, maximum, you're going to get 150. Now, that in Season 18 Diamond Plus, if we go to the losses here, let's say you lose. Last season, it was minus 35. That was it. That was all you would lose is 35 LP. For players like me, you're going to be losing 50. But for Diamond Plus, if you're, I think, 20th to 14th, minus 75. Now, it still doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you factor in when you take into account that you're only going to get 150 in a win, it definitely tightens that gap a little bit here. So here's some other notes they had. A small portion of elimination bonus is exempted from bonus withholding due to mismatched MMR and LP. This value increases based on the player's MMR. Skill rating and bonuses have been dramatically reduced. And then this is something that they put in the blog post that they rethought and they decided to change. Elimination bonuses are increased slightly. They're not doing that anymore. They say, we mentioned in our July 2023 ranked blog that we would be bumping up the elimination bonus slightly. In our attempt to reduce the Masters spike, we identified that we need to instead reduce the overall points given within the whole system, instead of bumping up as planned. We took a different approach and reduced placement scores to make eliminations more valuable when compared now to the now lowered placement score. So that is the rank changes. Those are the actual values. What do we think now?
We'll see how it goes. I think it's the biggest thing that it's going to come down to is how well the matchmaking is. Because for whatever reason, this season, even though there's like a million Masters players, you'll still run into like diamonds and plats and even like lower ranks than that, which is just absurd. Like I played with Peeps the other day, and he's the number one pred in the game, and he was in the same lobby as I think a like gold 2 player. Which, you got a million Masters players walking around, it just makes absolutely no sense why there would be a gold player in the number one Preds lobby. And so I think that'll go a long way in terms of fixing like the quality of the games that we've seen. And if they actually get the kill points to register and actually reward you, unlike it was this season, like they did at the beginning. At the beginning, like you would get a bunch of kill points, everything would be great. But then at some point they flipped the switch, and basically the majority of the games that you were going to be playing, you would get a flat 200 no matter how many people you killed. And so if they actually implement the points, like the KP system effectively, I think it'll reward that actually like playing the game and getting kills, and you'll see significantly less people in these elite high level ranks that are getting there by just ratting. Like the number 2 pred in the world doesn't shoot his gun, I'm pretty sure. Like the kitty guy, he's like the number 2 pred, like highest guy, and he like barely plays the game. Like actually like playing the game. And the amount of like solo Valks that you'll see around these parts, just like in rat spots all over the place. And the fact, like, did we talk about the AFK Masters? Did we talk about that last pod?
Did.
We did.
We talked about it early on in the when this season had first dropped.
No, I mean, there's a guy who legitimately posted on Reddit that he would ready up for a match and then go AFK. And within 500 games, he hit Masters.
That's
literally
insane.
Not touching. Like the second highest rank in the game achieved by not playing. 500 games, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And so hopefully, I think that this new system will hopefully help against that. And I'm excited to see how things go. And I'm looking forward. I really wish that it wasn't Broken Moon as the map. I'm going to be honest. I would have rather seen like World's Edge, KC, and Olympus. But it is what it is. We'll make the most of it. And I'm stoked. I'm just stoked to become a Rev main, just running around, just grinding the young Rankerson. It'll be fun.
There we go. Now let's get into some of the patch notes here, the actual balance updates with the legends, the weapons, and all the other stuff here. So kicking it off, we've got the armor changes. White to blue Evo points required increased. It was 150, now it's 200. Remember, you could just straight out craft your blue armor. Now that won't be the same. Crafted Evo points increased to 200 as well, like I just said. Fixed overflow damage level up. Oh, wait. Fixed overflow damage on level up applies to the next tier. I'm going to be honest. That was a bunch of words that didn't make sense to me. Can somebody explain that? Does anybody know what that meant?
So, like, if you had extra points and then you did like a massive amount of damage, I'm not sure if it carried over. Is that what that's saying? So
Okay.
I'm from this. I think that means that you weren't getting so say you were needing 25 to get to the next level. You throw a nade and it hits for like 75. You weren't getting that extra 50.
Oh, it was just getting you to the next level.
I don't know. I think that's how I don't know that's what it's saying, but I think that's what it's saying. But that's my best bet.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I got you. Okay, so I think that's big then, especially with the changes we're going to get to here in a little bit. Crafting rotation. The Rampage and the R99 leave the crafter and are back on the floor with the Nemesis and Mozambique with hammer point rounds entering the crafter. Double tap trigger and hammer point rounds removed from rotation, and boosted loader and disruptors are added back to the rotation, and the medkit price is increased to the same as a battery, which was 20. Let me just read these care package weapons and then we'll talk about all that together. Hemlock returns to the floor with the ADS recoil increased and the damage reduced back to 22, and the headshot multiplier reduced once again. And the Prowler is headed back in the care package with the damage increase, and Select Fire is back. Now, for the day one players, I think we can all remember the Select Fire Prowler. What a time it was. What a gun it was. I miss it dearly. I cannot wait to get my hands on a Select Fire Prowler for the first time in a long time. And then we got the gold weapon rotation, the Hemlock, the Peacekeeper, Alternator, Rampage, Charge Rifle. Now, this one's interesting. Loot spawn changes. Blue and purple weapon attachments spawn rate reduced by 20%. And the blue and purple armor spawn rate reduced by 30%. Causes for concern come from me, especially with the disruptor rounds back in the game, and the price or the way to get back to blue armor is increased as well. How do you guys feel about this? I don't know. I'm getting like a season 6 Evo change where they reduced all the values of the armor. I'm getting that kind of vibe. It's not to the same extent, but throwing disruptors in a thing where other armors are spawning way less. I don't know how I feel about it right now. What do you guys think?
Okay, I think disruptors are going to be really, really strong. I do think that I think Respawn wants PK Gibby meta back. And it definitely, at least from all of the stuff on this patch notes, it definitely appears that way. With how strong disruptors are going to be, especially on the PK, like you are going to see more shotgun play than ever before. I believe the Mastiff got a buff as well. It seems that they're really trying to force Gibby back into meta. And if we see Gibby back in meta, it's just going to be a different play style than what we're seeing right now. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be nearly as big of a change as when the armors got dropped down as much as they did by that 25. But time will tell. I'm excited. The alternator is going to be super, super fun. I still, one of my favorite clips I've ever posted on Twitter is I think me getting 9 kills in Sorting Factory, RIP Sorting Factory. What a beautiful, beautiful POI it was. But I got 9 kills off drop with an alternator, and like I was just straight cooking. And that it's a fun gun to use. It's definitely a gun that I would say is really great off spawn, but would trail off in terms of its effectiveness as the game would go on. And with it having disruptor rounds, it's definitely going to be the meta SMG, no doubt about it, especially with the nerf to the R9 and SMGs as a whole. Yeah, we will see how big of a change it is. I don't think it'll be anything too crazy, but we will see. We will see.
Yeah, like I said, just a cause for concern. I'm not sure if I'm exactly saying it's going to be a season 6 all over again, because that was the season where they changed the Evos, and then they had to make like a quick change and change it 2 weeks right after they dropped it. But it is interesting. Also, with Enoch saying the shotguns are coming back, let's not forget that the Eva 8 is also pretty solid right now. So with the Mastiff and the Peacekeeper being in there, and then you get the Mozambique with the hammer points, shotgun's pretty good all the way around. Let's get into the weapons here real quick. The charge rifle. We talked about it a little bit last week, but we didn't have full details. Now we do. New ballistics and projectile. They removed the hit scan and removed the pre-fire laser. Projectiles have player pass-through, 80% damage retained, and they now open doors, which I thought was an interesting mechanic. Projectiles gain damage with distance. That's what they're going to do with the charge rifle now. They're going to do the opposite of what I thought they were going to do, where it would have like an insane damage fall off. They're actually going to go the other way, and the further away that you shoot someone, the more damage you will get. So 50 meters is 75 damage, 300 meters is 110. There's also a new charge mechanic. You hold down the trigger to increase the charge. Releasing the trigger will decrease the charge, and it fires at 100% charge. They added like the sniper mag attachment back to it. The ammo consumption per shot is reduced to 1. It used to be 2, and handling timings are adjusted. So all of the reloads, they decrease the time to do all of the reloads for that. Like Enoch had mentioned, SMGs are getting a nerf. Strafe speed and ADF strafe scale reduced to 0.75. It was 0.85. And the headshot multiplier reduced to 1.25. It was 1.5. The R99 got a pretty big nerf after it comes back out of the crate. Vertical recoil slightly increased with the ammo capacity reduced. It looks like for base, they dropped it 2 bullets. For white, they dropped it 1. And then for blue and purple, they dropped it 1 as well. So the R99, pretty significant nerf as far as just the mag goes. I think people will still use it, but it will still be difficult to use considering the alternator is out there with disruptors on the prowl. The Spitfire, they added barrel to the Spitfire, and then the ADS recoil is now improved with the hip fire spread slightly improved, so we can see people start to use that and not, just completely disregard it as a weapon. The Mastiff, blast pattern tightened, and the hop-ups, boosted loaders going back on the Wingman and the Hemlock, and then the disruptor rounds, like we had mentioned, the alternator and the Peacekeeper. That was the big surprise, seeing the Peacekeeper getting the disruptor rounds. Well, like we said, shotguns are getting much, much better. And then frag grenades, they changed the outer radius. It looks like they want to make frag grenades a little bit stronger here. It looks like they will be more strong and actually tougher to get away from, I think. And then the thermite, they adjusted the VFX. So that rounds it out. Any other weapon change that stands out to you, Enoch?
Spitfire's back, by the way. That's all I'm gonna say. That's what it looks
Yeah,
like. I mean, adding up.
I think this.
No, you're good. You're good.
You can put a B save
That's what
on
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, they literally they're forcing the Spitfire. It really. I mean, we've seen it as time goes on, but one of the best things about Apex Legends is that there's a very high skill ceiling, and this is just like one of those moves that is just one that ruins it. Because the Spitfire is a gun that just has an absolute absurd mag, and we all know what it's like to play in Spitfire meta, and they just made everything about it better. Boom, you get a B stab. That's absurd on its own. And then they not only gave it a B stab to make it better while you're ADSing, they improved the ADS recoil just by itself and made the hipfire spread slightly improved. And so catch me next season. I'm going to just be that guy. Like, why not? If it's going to be there and it's going to be something I'm going to complain about, I might as well be the guy doing it. And you know what you're not going to want? You're not going to want to see me 325 armor deep with double Spitfire with gold mag. You're not touching me. I'm not getting knocked ever. Ever. I got double yappas with barrel stabs. Nah. I mean, obviously I'm not going to do that, but the fact that they buffed the Spitfire and made it OP again, I'm definitely going to ride. I'm just going to hop on the wave, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I feel like if they just deleted the entire LMG class as a whole, I actually think before this happened, I don't think anyone would really notice. Like, maybe just because the L-Star is in the crate, you might notice. But even then, like, I mean, they just before this they weren't anything, which I was cool with. I'm 100% fine with LMGs not being good. But now it looks like it's going to come back. I do remember the Spitfire season was one of the worst seasons I've ever had. So if it's coming back, I might be in for one. Especially with the weirdness to the shields coming. It looks like you're just gonna have to shoot people. You're just gonna have to shoot. You're gonna have to go out there and shoot people. You can't just craft your shields. So that's what it's going to come down to. Let's move into the legend changes right now. We already talked about Revenant. Some other ones. We have Bangalore's Rolling Thunder to 240 seconds. They added a full minute to that motherfucker. Catalyst, the Dark Veil, they added 30 seconds. And then Gibraltar, the big boy, minus a minute and a half for his defensive bombardment, which I've said is one of the most punishing ults in the game. That's my casual brain speaking. I could be wrong on that. Horizon, the Black Hole was increased 30 seconds, and the Black Market Boutique for Loba was increased 30 seconds. Ultimate Accelerants grant 25% ult charge, up from 20%. Mad Maggie, the Wrecking Ball, went up 30 seconds. Pathfinder, the Zipline, went up a full minute. And then Wraith was reduced by 30 seconds for her dimensional rift. So a lot of ult changes here. The one that stands out, obviously, being Bangalore's Rolling Thunder and Gibraltar's defensive bombardment. You guys got anything on that for like the competitive side of things?
Yeah, I think. I mean, we knew whenever Gibby was in the meta, his ult was so strong. Late game was really good at zoning. Does exactly what Bangs does, except it hits way harder. So I think I love the change because I do feel like there is going to be a lot more Gibbies being played. And I think Gibby meta is much more entertaining than like a Cossack. I don't know. Other metas that we've had before for sure. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit with Sykes. So you'll have to hear that coming up. But we talked to him about the Bangalore change. He thinks maybe Bang will actually see a little bit less play. I'm not really sure. I think Bang's still super viable with the tacticals alone. Like the smokes in the game, there's nothing like it. So I don't know if that's really going to change too much. I mean, people use the ulti mainly for zoning tools or like for a res whenever you're getting third partied or something like that. But I a Horizon 30 seconds to their black hole to Horizon's black hole, I don't think is like that big of a change. Catalyst's Dark Veil already seemed like it came back really fast. So even with the 30 seconds, I'm not sure it's going to change too much. The Maggie Ball also came back quick, but adding another 30 seconds may feel pretty not like might actually feel substantial. But that's my thoughts looking at the ultimate cooldowns.
Yeah, Gibby's is gonna. I think the most notable and the ones that's gonna have an impact the most. And then they just don't like Pathfinder, and they're just trying to not.
They actually hate him,
dude. A 60-second increase. It was like, okay, where's the character? Yeah, no, Pathfinder Zipline has the same cooldown as Gibby's ult. So one is a literal airstrike that blows up an entire area, makes it unplayable unless you have cover or your own Gibby bubble. And the other is a zip line that allows you to move through parts of the map faster. And they have the same cooldown. I don't know about that. I think it's just like they're just forcing Gibby into the meta. They just want to see him back. And so they're like, how can we really lock it in? Let's just make his ultimate like 90 seconds.
That's so fast for what it does.
90 seconds off. That is a big change. Big change. And yeah, we'll be seeing some dribblers. No doubt about it.
Let's move on into the tactical updates. We got Ballistics Whistler. Reduced delay before an overheated weapon starts to cool down to 1 second was 2, and reduced how long it takes an overheated weapon to cool down. It was 12 whole seconds. Now it's 8. Though it's pretty substantial. Loba's Burglar's Best Friend, the bracelet, cooldown reduced to 25 seconds. It was 30. And then this is the big seer change. Slow duration reduced to 0.5 seconds was 2.5 seconds. So basically no slow. Half a second's not a whole lot. It is maybe just enough, but not a whole lot. Silence duration reduced to 8 seconds. It was 10. And the firing speed increased to 1.4. It was 0.9. So Seer's probably still going to be around. The slow was the one thing that I think people were really focused on, and he loses it, but what he gives to a team, and you'll hear Sykes talk more about it in the interview, but he thinks Seer is going to be sticking around, and honestly, he thinks like a lot of the meta won't be changed by much of this. But what do you guys think?
I mean, that silence is still so long. 8 seconds not being able to use abilities in like super critical moments is pretty hard. It's pretty tough on a team, especially whenever you're relying on some of those abilities to actually get out of the situations that you're in, right? Like, so you're playing low ground with Horizon, you get hit by a seer attack, and it's like zone closing, and you only had 3 seconds to really get that off, and now you got to wait another 8 seconds to get that off, and now you're going to be in storm for taking storm damage. It's just like it can change the micros of the game pretty quickly. Like, you know, I don't know. I do think this does bring him down to earth a little bit, though. If we're talking the last seer or the same seer iteration that was this season to now, like I feel like it does bring him down a little bit, you know, more to earth. But that silence is just gonna oof. You feel me? Like that's just oof. That's a long time to not have an ability in a game where you're so reliant on abilities. E?
Yeah, I mean, the silence is going to go crazy, still makes Seer very viable, and I definitely think we're going to see a lot of him, especially in pro play. But yeah, I think Finn covered everything pretty well.
Yeah, it might change in actual ranked. I think people would have a lot more fun with a different comp, like the Revenant mixed with a lot of different things, like Enoch was talking about. We may not see it as much in ranked, but in competitive, it's really hard to imagine the same comps not being played with the little changes that there were.
With
Last
how
thing here.
sorry, why not to cut you
Oh,
off.
go ahead.
The hard. I mean, people were. I mean, Syke said Bloodhound might be used, which I think is possible. But he said crypto, but I don't think crypto is going to be used in North America. We're way too aggressive of a region to not to use crypto. So that's why I think Seer is going to be played, and if anything, a substitute for Bloodhound. But I don't know. Something to be.
We'll see.
I do think the teams that were playing crypto are going. This gives the people that were playing crypto an even more of a reason to keep playing crypto, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, last big thing that can really affect comp here: crafting workbenches, survey beacons, and ring consoles. Removed exclusion radius that caused some POIs to get these objects more than others. That's big for a lot of these teams here. And all POIs now have an equal chance of receiving a ring console, survey beacon, or crafting workbench. We could see some teams change in POIs pretty quickly here, based off this change alone, because NRG was kind of basing their spot on World's Edge based on getting one of those items. So it's like there's a good chance we see a lot of teams making a switch, deciding to go to a different spot. This is big.
I mean, it changes the fundamentals, right? Like for some of the teams that were getting 80% or 80 plus percent chance to get a ring console, you're pretty much guaranteed one, right? Like that's a really good chance of you getting a ring console. Whereas some places, I can't remember specifics, but I do remember some places having like a 15% chance to get a ring console, right? And there was like that was not a highly for those POIs, they weren't really sought after because of those reasons, but now that there's an equal radius for all of those, I think that that's pretty insane. I think there is going to be a lot more RNG factors, but I think once again, this goes into the hybrid. Everybody's going to have to be able to play a pretty flexible comp, I think, because you're going to be forced to if you don't have ring console and your whole thing was depending on that. Now you got to be much more flexible, and that's why I think Catalyst is going to continue to stay the best controller because of the flexibility using the tactical of being able to hold down a door if you need, or hold like an area of space, but also with the ultimate being able to play on edge if you don't have ring console to kind of block LOS and let you have those micro rotations. So I think Cat's gonna this just really I think buffs Catalyst, and will force teams that were playing heavy zone to start running probably a lot more hybrid style, maybe taking out the Watson and putting in a Cat or something like that. Something that allows them a little bit more flexibility depending on zone.
One more quick note here that I forgot to throw in: audio. They actually highlighted the audio on this. Fixed animations not playing audio in rare cases. This is the big one, though. Improved prioritization for certain enemy movement sounds. So that was something we've talked about on a few interviews with the players. Sometimes the audio queue gets so full with all these ults, all these different abilities going off, all that. They decided to prioritize enemy movement, which I'm hoping is the big audio change we're looking for. Prioritizing that over everything else should have been something that was already there. Hopefully this adjusts the audio so that we can actually hear a Pathfinder running through water to get to right behind you and you just having no idea. Hopefully this changes that. So that was the last change. But ladies and gents, that should just about round out the patch notes here. Some changes to control. That's more for the casuals here. The mixtape marauders like myself, they're going to have a much better time on control. Games are going to go a lot faster as well. So that is something to keep an eye on. When I go into mixtape as a marauder, I see control, I go play something else. I did like control for a long time, but I thought the games took too long and I didn't like the spawn wave. They took out the spawn wave, and now there is the games end a lot faster. So I will be playing control. So all my other Marauders out there, we're good. We got all 3 solid game modes. All we need now is third person to really shore everything up. But ladies and gents, that should just about do it for the season 18 patch notes. We've got some causes for concern. Spitfire might be back, probably is back, but we also have some good things on the way. Revenant should be fun as shit to play, so it is an exciting season all the way around, and I'm sure that when we get into it, there's going to be a lot more. I think we start with a collection event right off Ripski, so we'll have that as well, along with all the other content involved. And I do believe we're going to get an updated Storm Point at the season split because they were already teasing it. That's my theory. I believe we're going to get it. So, ladies and gents, let's throw it on down to our interview with XSET Sikezz. We finally interviewed a full squad. Sikezz was the last one for XSET for us, and it was actually a very solid interview. No camera, though, unfortunately. So if you're trying to watch the YouTube, he didn't have a camera. He was kind of behind a little bit, so he wasn't able to get the cam going, but it was still a great interview nonetheless. We're going to hit a quick ad on the other side, XSET Sikezz. All right, here we are, ladies and gents, with a very special guest. We have finally completed the entire team. XSET Sikezz is officially on the show, and Team XSET is complete. They're the first complete team to show up on the show, and honestly, one of the most consistent teams right now in the ALGS, along with Sikezz. Sikezz, my man, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. A little tired, but we're here. We're active.
Yeah, apparently we had sent over the text to get on in here, and it was just like, oh shit, I completely forgot that the interview was tonight. Some are saying it's the controller brain. I didn't say that. Other people are saying that. Wasn't me though.
I was literally sitting in Cord with Guild playing Control, and I was like, oh shit, Guild, I forgot I have an interview.
That's okay, and then that's perfectly fine. One thing that you mentioned off air was that you have like a hard time with your schedule. You said your schedule is constantly changing. Can you talk about the reason, like why is that? Like why is it hard to keep like a consistent schedule for yourself?
Well, it's actually like sleep problems. I have like I get sleep paralysis like really bad, like almost every night. So like staying asleep is the hardest thing for me. Like my sleep ranges from like an hour a night to like 14 hours. So it's kind of how everything goes for me.
And for the people who aren't like totally familiar with what that is, just kind of explain like some of the instances you go through when you're going through that.
It's kind of like I'm awake, but I have like no control over my body. Like it feels like I'm trying to get up out of my bed, but I can't. Like that's kind of what it feels like.
Okay, so were you and Guild 2-stacking?
No, we were both soloing.
Okay. I was gonna say who was out damaging who.
I mean, come on now.
But
come on now. Is that?
You think you're walking away with that W?
Of course.
Appreciate the confidence for sure.
I remember
Dude,
I remember the first time I was scrolling through Twitter and like Control had just come out. And I think I remember seeing you drop like a 10K or an 11K on Control or something. Is that true?
Yeah, I think I had a 10K the first day Control came out, literally.
What? Like what, dude?
I didn't even know I was like getting it. The game ended and I was like, yo, chat, is that good? I was like, is that good?
And then you posted the screenshot and everybody was like, what is going on? Like what type of bot lobby were you in? But I guarantee it wasn't a bot lobby. You were just absolutely piecing.
Dude, the skill based and Control at the start was so cranked. I remember it wasn't like my first game. My first game ever, I was playing against Synox and Crust when they were still teaming. They were on the other team, and I had Tanner Slays and I think Lulu on my team. It was just
like a random pub.
Just a random like Control game that when it first came out.
That's actually wild.
Yeah, I feel like they've always kind of had the skill base tuned on that, because it feels like you either get into a game where you're absolutely sweating your balls off, but then there's other times where it feels like the other team just picked up a controller or a mouse and keyboard for the first time ever, and they're trying to figure everything out. So it's like it's very hit and miss. But yeah, I love it for that reason. You never know what you're going to get with control. It's just a mixed bag, really. But it's fun nonetheless. Let's kind of get into more of this current season here. Obviously, you guys come away with the 4th place finish in the in Split 2. Kind of run through your guys' run in that entire tournament and how you guys felt as a team, how you guys felt as a squad, and ultimately your final position.
I mean, as a team, like especially in the earlier groups, we were just not where we needed to be mentally at all. It was just like, I think we had a rough 3 weeks. Our boot camp was really, really, really bad compared to Split 1 playoffs, because we had a lot of like just small issues in our boot camp room where it was like there was like no AC, because like AC in Europe is not really like a big thing. So our boot camp room had like no AC, and we were there in the summer this time, so it was just so hot in our room. It was like almost unplayable. So like everything for like 3 weeks kind of just like boiled up at LAN, and it kind of just like we had to let it all out, which is what we did in losers round 2, and we all vented our frustrations about everything that was going on like internally and stuff, and we brought it back together.
What did that look like when? I mean, it was a very, very big surprise for a lot of us to see y'all towards the bottom of the standings for the first, two rounds of the pool play. And like, especially from y'all coming off the first place from the actual pro league itself, I would love to hear what the actual conversation was like between y'all whenever you were going over, okay, like to actually just get better or to get over the hump that you guys were talking about, or that you're talking about right at the beginning of the LAN.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of just like a lot of, God, I don't want to get too much into it because a lot of it obviously is like very personal team stuff, but in a way, like it kind of seemed like me and Knock like lost like trust in each other. And like the main problem was me and like Knock, how we were like working together. And it was like we just like weren't listening to each other at all, and that's kind of like it ended up turning into like a Hodsig was like yelling at us. He was like, "Do you guys have something you want to say to each other like right now?" And then me and Knock kind of just like talked about it, but it was definitely a blow up for sure.
But performance was significantly better after blow up, and people were able to get the way they felt across.
Oh yeah, I mean losers round 2, like I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I got sick in losers round 2 after the second game, like extremely nauseous, didn't even want to be at my setup, like even playing the LAN. I feel like I needed to go back to my hotel room. But like you could just see after we had that like argument, or like not argument, but like we kind of hashed it all out, like it was like Knock became like, oh,
communication.
Yeah.
We can just call it communication. Team communication for sure.
Knock became like an entirely different player. Like it was like I was playing with the same Knock from Split 1 playoffs again. Like super confident, just walking around the map, just doing whatever he wanted, and no one could do anything about it.
I feel like it would be criminal if we didn't at least bring up the Horizon play that kept the LAN going, if we're about to be moving on from the LAN discussion. And so, did you know that it was them on height? Like you had to have, right?
Wait, who?
The grief you were talking about, the griefing, making sure TSM doesn't win.
The TSM on high.
The game to keep the tourney alive.
Yeah, we knew it was TSM. We saw them pretty early in the game, and so the thing about me is I am a extremely paranoid person at my core. Like when I do pretty much anything, like if something's important, I stress about it so much with literally everything in life. And I was just calling out every team that might have been DZ or TSM at the time, because they were the only 2 teams on match point. And whenever we saw them earlier in the game, and when we were on the tracks, we saw them inside of the stadium building, and obviously it just makes sense for them to like play into the bridge from that spot. And whenever we queued up, I just literally screamed to the top of my lungs that it was TSM, and we just killed them. We shut on them actually pretty bad.
Dude,
No, yeah, you guys dealt with them swiftly.
Yeah. Shout out the Bangalore smoke on the 2 controller players.
So, okay, let's get into that a little bit. Bangalore Smoke and controller players, you guys are probably. It used to be that 2 MK, 1 controller was like the go-to, and now we're seeing more and more and more teams move away from it, and you guys are a 2 MK team. How much do you think that impacts the way that you guys take fights and the use of Bangalore?
I mean, it's actually funny you say that because during the Pro League split, we had a 3v3 versus FaZe when they had a Kraber. And I was literally screaming at Noct because I saw Snipe Down's Valkskin, and I was screaming at Noct to their triple controller and just shoot his smokes directly on them. I was like, just shoot your smokes at them. And we were just like taking all of their space, and there was just like nothing they could do. Like we were just walking at them with trials, loot, and triple digis.
Yeah, Digi is definitely the best item in the game, in my opinion. I feel like there's just not a item that's different. Yeah. I mean, that impacts it more.
Yeah, I agree. That item literally needs to be taken out of Apex comp. It is way too good.
You saying for the value, like the value of it is extremely high for like the RNG factor, I guess. And even, dude, even on Digi days, think about that. Like, I know
It's
Enoch
insane.
is a big advocate of the Bangalore, so he loves Digi Day, you know. But I think that is something that we could definitely be talked about more. Sykes, I agree. Enoch said something that he said like that was, of course, the thing that we needed to talk about. But my thing that we needed to talk about is the absolute nut scoop that you guys got after, I think it was it losers round 2, maybe?
It was somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is knowing that it was a nut tap, or well, not necessarily. Excuse me, not a nut tap. It was a nut. I would say grabbage. Like
it was a handful. It was all of it.
It was a readjust.
Did you? Okay. I don't think you knew that the camera was on you, but if you did, would you have done the same thing, even if you knew?
I mean, probably. It was hot, bro. It was sweaty. Something had to happen. Like, that's all I know.
The boys just needed readjustment.
Something
That's
had
all.
to happen. But I should have known the camera was on us because because we had just won the game, I'm pretty sure. And anytime you win the game, the camera automatically like pans over to your team. And I just won the game and stood up and just started readjusting. So I'm kind of dumb for that.
Well,
but
it's clear to everybody that at least you are comfortable on the LAN stage. To say the least.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I did not care. Like, I'm not kidding. I had someone like DM me and was like, "You must be so embarrassed." I was like, "Dude, I think that was after losers round 1, actually." I was like, "Dude, I just made winners. Like, I do not care about that clip at all. Like, not even a little bit." And then I went back to losers round 2 right after. So maybe I should have cared, but
I just love the way that it was like we kind of broke it down on the show, as weird as this sounds, but the way
damn.
I think I think we've all been in the situation you were in, where you were like, I need to talk to this person, but I also need to make sure the boys are readjusted. So you kind of like readjusted, but also was like you were actively taking place in a conversation. I don't remember who it was with. I don't remember if it was with Noct or Fun, but whoever was right next to you, you're like trying to like convey something. You were talking, but also adjusting at the same time. And if there was no cameras at all, it would have been like 100% successful mission. There just happened to be cameras everywhere. So I just want to applaud you on the successful mission. It was just unfortunate that the cameras happened to be there. That's all.
I appreciate it. That was definitely one of the moments of all time in ALGS. So.
Definitely unforgettable. Definitely unforgettable.
Kind of what I'm known for now, so I'll take it.
Embrace it, really.
Okay, I want to.
Go ahead.
I'm going to transition out. So if you have something why it's involved in that, keep going.
Yeah, I'll hit one more question on the LAN. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too, because we're talking about being in losers round 2, and then all of a sudden you guys turn around and place 4th with all of the best teams around. But in the early rounds, you were kind of struggling with a lot of these other teams. after you guys had that conversation, it was just all locked in, all focused. Nocturnal was just completely just split one LAN all over again, like no turning back, right? I mean, I would have to assume if that was the end result.
Yeah, I mean, we had that talk, and it was like, I'm telling you, it was literally like we were just a different team. Like the next day, everything changed. I'm still a little bit like, in my eyes, like that fourth is a failure because we were expected to do so much more. Like, so in my eyes, the fourth is a failure, but I can't be mad about it because of like everything that we had to like go through that land. So
I guess to add on to that now, Wyatt, did you feel like the scrims were like accurate to what you were seeing in game on LAN? I know we usually ask this quite a bit to the people that are doing like champ scrims and stuff like that, but did you find that the games were kind of similar from what you were seeing in scrims to actually on LAN?
I think it's more so like not the games, but the way certain teams played. Like Alliance, like I feel like Alliance kept pretty much the same play style in scrims as they did like all the way throughout the land. Same with TSM, same with DZ. Basically all the teams that took their practice serious like performed very well in the land. So I feel like, I don't know if any, like, obviously I tweeted about it, but I took a vacation right before LAN and I went to Vegas for COD Champs for like 8 days. So in a way, like, I kind of regret doing that because we missed 8 days worth of scrims because I was fucking at COD Champs.
Do you have a favorite player? I gotta ask now. Do you have a favorite COD player or what?
Honestly, probably like the easy answer is like Scump all time or like Octane, but as of right now, probably Scrap.
Oh, you like Scrap? Did you like this because he trash talks or because
yeah,
he's like?
I love the trash talk.
Gotcha.
I love it.
Okay.
He's nasty, and I love the trash talk.
Yeah, he backs it up too. He backs it up so well. Yeah, I love that you went to COD Champs though.
It was an amazing experience. This was my first time being in Vegas too, so it was awesome.
Speaking of trash talk, this is a topic we've had with a few other guests in the past. Trash talk in Apex, where do you think it's at? Do you think it could be set up a little bit better? Do you think it should be in the esport? Do you think it would add to the lands? Like, what are your thoughts on just trash talking within our game?
Oh, I love it. I love trash talking people. I definitely think it has a spot. I want it to be like, as long as it doesn't reach a super personal level where you're saying something really messed up about someone, I'm okay with all trash talk. It's all fair game to me.
Is there another player out there who is who would you say is the best trash talker? Is there somebody who stands out?
Probably Nasky, or I would say Hal, but Hal has very like childish trash talk. He's just like, you're bad. Yeah, you suck. Yeah, you're bad. But in terms of like actually getting at you, Nasky or Sweet for sure. Sweet just takes it a little too far sometimes, but well, I still like his shit.
He gets like a little too like almost like it's like right on the edge of too far.
Yeah, Sweet definitely gets there for sure. But Nasky's shit talk is next level. That guy is hilarious.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, is there anybody who's hit you with something so good you kind of just didn't even know how to respond? You're just like, what do I even say? And like, how do I even respond to this?
Yeah, definitely Nasky. He's got me with a couple of those before.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to trash talk in the way that ours is set up because nobody's really looking at one another. It's all, you're all kind of on like the same wall right there. But I kind of wish one day they would have a setup where it was like, 10 tables facing one way, the other 10 facing them. I would like to see, that would be pretty cool. If we had like a final setup like that, I think that'd be super interesting to see the trash talk going back and forth and see who I think a lot of guys could end up becoming stars in their own right. Maybe they're not the best players. Maybe they're not winning championships, but they might be known for their trash talk. I think that would be like a cool setup we could do in the future. I don't know if that's something you would want to do.
Oh, dude, it's actually funny that you say that because they had a player warm up area at this LAN. They didn't have it last LAN, and it was literally like the passion pit from COD. It's like all the PCs are all lined up right in front of each other, and one of the funniest things, actually, I was shit talking a team, and one of the funniest things that I got to see was Zero screaming at Aurora when they were in scrims. Zero was just killed them on the contest, and Zero was just letting Aurora have it, and they were sitting right behind them. We were on the other side of the room, and we could just hear Zero screaming. It was hilarious.
He seems like one of those guys too. Like he seems like a guy. I don't know if he's got like good trash talk, but it seems like he's a loud trash talker. Like he likes to get in the mix.
Oh yeah, he definitely, his trash talk's pretty bad, but he gets really loud with it. So it's kind of like you're forced to listen because he gets loud. And then I was letting Vex have it at one point too.
There you go. Yeah, I like that. Hopefully in the future, as the sport gets bigger, we get more and more like personality in the game, and I think that would be a really good way to do it, because every other sport that's popular, I mean, people are always trash talking each other. So I think it's definitely something that we could move forward and look into in the future. I kind of wanted to transition out and talk a little bit more about your guys' team as a whole, because XSET is widely regarded as one of the most consistent teams in Apex. And even though you guys had such a bad beginning to the second split, you still end up in fourth. You guys are always in that, 2 to 5 range consistently at all times. And then in the group stage, you're almost always in first, especially this last group stage. What do you think in your estimation is the reason you guys are so consistent and always finding a way to stay up above everybody else and always stay in that upper echelon?
I mean, I think it's just the way that we all help each other. Like all the comms, like we don't really have a, like Knock is obviously our IGL, but we don't really have someone that does everything. We're all good at making comms. Fun zone knowledge is literally insane. I've been working on mine. Like we just we help each other. We're a team. Like we do everything together. Like there's no, outside of those early group stages, there's no individual play on our team at all. We do everything together.
Okay, I was gonna say it's one specific game that actually I was gonna ask you about. It was a super weird skyhook zone, which is where you guys land. But people were thinking it was like South Skyhook, like the newer zone. But somehow you guys knew that it ended up pulling all the way back towards market, and you guys did a absolutely juicer rotate to be like to top trials, and then you guys ended up dying at like 8th or 7th, but I don't think you would have made it that far if you didn't actually make that rotate. Do you know that? Do you know what game I'm talking about?
Oh, was it the game that we played the front trials door by the truck?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
That game was insane because everybody thought it was that had to go down to like what I was saying, either you or like you said, fun with like the knowledge of the game, like of that ring pool, because that was insane reads. And I mean, getting 8th place, even 7th place there is so impressive considering where you guys were.
Yeah. I mean, I will say Knock, in my opinion, is the best IGL in Apex at like adapting to like situations. Like his ability to just like call a play that's just like insane, that will just like save our games, I think he's the best at it by far.
Okay, one thing that whenever we had Hotsick on, we asked about you fitting the place for Guild whenever he left for NRG, and he just said that you needed to change your habits from like ranked, like you were just doing ranked plays or whatever he would say. Do you remember him saying that to you whenever you guys were like kind of trialing or playing with him at the beginning? And do you feel like that was an accurate representation of you whenever you were coming in to play for Liquid, now Team XSET?
Oh no, he's absolutely right. Like there was a play whenever I first started playing with them. It was like probably the second or third tourney I'd ever played with them, and it was like when Furia was like at their like peak still, like right after champs. Like I just joined them, and we were like fighting them. We were 3v3 in the bottom thermal, and we had 2 knocks, and it was 2v1, and the ranked player came out of me, and I like swung Panders like while he was in 2 knockdown shields. I just swung him in the open, insta died. And after Hada was like, "That's just a rank swing," and I was like, "Nah." I was trying to argue with him. I was like, I should have just won that though. Like I should have just been better. And he's like, "That's not the point. Like the point is if you wait for your teammate, then you just kill him for free." I definitely had a lot of bad ranked habits when I first joined the team.
What were some of the? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You got it.
You go.
I mean, I think yours is going to be more connected than mine.
Yeah. Okay. What were some of the other ranked habits that you had to get rid of? Is there any other ones that come to mind? Because right now I think there's a lot of really good ranked players who want to transition into competitive, but there's a lot of things that they got to adjust, and you can just see it in the challenger circuit. Is there anything else that you remember specifically you had to change?
I still struggle with this, but it's I actually had to change my button layout recently so I could ping players while I'm spraying, because HOT is so big on us making sure that we're actively pinging so the entire team knows where everyone is. Like we ping an enemy, so obviously they pop up red on the map. And another thing is calming. I still struggle with this. Is my biggest problem is calming what players are doing. Like if I see someone on another team calling like they're running like they're right going left, like they're looting a box, like anything like that. Like that's actually my biggest problem right now is calming player movements.
So you were basically, the way you were coming before was just basically there's this legend here, and that was just that because it's just ranked and that is what it is. But now you're trying to basically just get more complete communication between the teams so that everybody, is on the same page basically.
Yeah, definitely. And that's been the hardest part for me is calming like where players are at directly instead of saying right here, being like right here. And then I'm just shooting, but I'm not pinging or anything. So my teammates will be like, where are they at? I'm just like, oh shit, my bad.
So not just being on the same page, you guys want to be on the same paragraph, on the same sentence type of deal.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's actually crazy because we were TDM in teams as warm-ups in boot camp and like on land in the player warm-up area. And when you play TDMs, like my COD kid comes out of me and I just calm everything. I'm just like saying like slow down, play together, like this guy's here, right here, because it's like a respawn game mode, so I can really get into the groove of how like the match, which is a lot harder to do in a BR.
A lot more variables.
So the patch notes are out, and we are looking at a very different Apex in the next few months than we have been playing. And you guys, I believe, are going to be playing on this new update for champs.
Yes, we are.
And so, how do you think that this update is going to impact comp? And do you have any insight on how you guys are going to adapt moving forward, or like where are you guys at with it?
I actually really like the beacon change where every team basically has an even chance of getting a beacon. I was actually hanging out with Zero earlier, and he was like, dude, like I don't know about Harv anymore, like because like Harv had that like crazy high beacon spawn, and he was just like talking about it, and I was like, I don't know, man, looks like you can't get carried by Mill and Harv anymore. That's what I said to him. So I'm actually excited for the beacon changes. The ring changes, we'll have to fill it out. We might have to see XSET take a new home very soon, but we'll see how that goes.
Dude, it's so crazy if that ends up happening. What, like if DZ ends up moving away from Harv and you guys end up moving away from what you guys were laning Cascade, and I don't think you're meaning Trials. I think you're meaning somewhere else, right?
No, we might have to leave Trials with the zone changes.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I meant Trials. That's my bad. You're leaving Trials and going to somewhere else.
We might have to test the water.
It's so crazy because it's like I feel like you guys, especially, I mean, even back when they were, you guys were Team Liquid, like that's been y'all's spot for what feels like forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane online. It is like literally Skywest Trials Online is like the god POI. It is like, I mean, you walk out of there like it's not as good as it was. Obviously, it had some nerfs to it, but whenever I first joined the team, we played that first or second Pro League split. I was walking out of there red armor, all gold items every single game, max guns. Like I feel like a raid boss.
How do you feel about the map situation right now on ALGS? Like, are you cool with both maps, or do you think there could be an adjustment, or are you kind of fine with what they're running right now?
I like Stormpoint a lot. I was talking to Fun about this a couple days ago. I would like to see. They'll never do it because of how good two maps is for the viewership, and I understand that. That's more important. But I would like to see like a Stormpoint only. But I'm just a World's Edge hater. Like, I just think the map is just overplayed. It's just terrible. It's just bad. It's a really bad map.
What would a second map? Yeah, what would a second map be if you could do Stormpoint and one other map?
KC.
Which one are you taking?
Definitely KC. I think
Kings Canyon.
I think KC is. Olympus has 21 POIs. I'm pretty sure 21 or 22. Could be wrong about that. I think it has 21 though. But the map is just like POI wise, it would be ready, but everything else it's horrible. KC is like definitely the most comp ready map for sure.
And Broken Moon's just not even in the discussion.
I mean, we don't even need to talk about that. I mean, we have zip rails taking you around the map for third parties in 20 seconds. Like, I'm good on that.
That's interesting. Is there anything else, like why go more in depth on KC being ready, other than just the POI situation?
I don't know like really why it just feels the best to play to me. Like, in terms of like playable cover, it's not just like massive open fields like Olympus, where like you get caught in Olympus field rotating in late game. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You just die. But I feel like there's no open massive fields on KC. Everything's like pretty playable, and I just think that like the loot could be better. The loot's pretty bad on KC actually. Unless you go Spotted Lakes, whoever takes that is just got the god loot. But other than loot, I actually just how the map plays, all the playable cover.
What are your thoughts on the loot changes with the significant decrease in purple shields as well as purple attachments and all that jazz?
I'm actually very okay with that. I think that, I mean, I know it sounds crazy coming from a SkyWest Trials team that I think teams are too kitted, because like, I mean, we walk out of there with god loot every game, but I just think like everyone being like red purple armor max guns is just like, I don't know. It just doesn't. I want there to be some aspect of RNG, right? Like, I don't want everyone to just be kitted to the teeth.
Considering you walk out pretty kitted,
yeah,
it's understandable how you feel that way. Because if everybody's getting worse loot, you're still getting better loot than everybody else.
Yeah, so I'll take the change, honestly.
What are your thoughts on Revenant? You think we're gonna see him and make his way into comp with how busted his ult seems to be? And if so, are you gonna be the Revenant for Team XSET?
If we play Revenant, I'll probably end up playing it, but I think that character is just gonna be so fun but so useless. He's just like a massive hitbox. You're just asking to get controller to that point. Like, it's just, you're just asking to die to aim assist.
You think we'll see the return of the Gibby? Is he coming back?
God, I hope so, but unfortunately, I mean, I got fun FPS Gibby. If that comes back, right. I'm locked. I'm ready to go for champs. Like, but no, I think Seer, like, I know they hit Seer with a couple nerfs again. They look like they're going to be pretty big, but the silence is just like still too much to bring Gibby back. I mean, think about it. You're sitting in a building, your whole game plan is to dome out late. You get hit with a silence, like, you're just dead. Like, you don't have a dome, you're not even a character anymore. You're just a hitbox. No gun shield, nothing.
A big one at that, too.
Yeah.
A pretty big one. Yeah. No, I was thinking, like, if Gibby is back and Fun is back on the Gibby, just hand him the trophy. Just give it to him.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's over.
That guy is... I've never got to play with Fun on Gibby, but, I mean, I've watched back Sweden VODs, like, old tournaments from when he was, like, used to be on the old XSET with Klain. Like, I mean, that guy is different on Gibby.
I would be stoked, too, if I was you to play with Fun.
Oh,
just watch this... Throw a bubble forward and just like watch him work, and then you just kind of like come around and just sweep up with whatever he has already destroyed in front of you, and
Yeah.
like, that's pretty.
I mean, at that point, you're just fighting everybody without shields because Fun's PK with disruptor rounds and a Gibby bubble. I mean, that's just the freest thing for
I mean,
you.
Nock's also insane at bubble fighting too, which is crazy.
Dude, but if we get Fun on Gibby, I'm just saying for World's Edge, Caustic might be coming back.
No, it actually
and we know that you have one of the most talked about caustics in the scene.
It's definitely discussed.
Is there potential we see a caustic Sykes?
I mean, Caustic Gibby, like, if Gibby comes back, that is the duo. Like, how do you just drop a dome, throw a Caustic O in there? I mean, that's just an auto 3v3 win, basically. I would love to play Caustic in comp. I've been fiending for that for a minute, so.
So if you've been fiending it, why haven't we seen the caustic Sykes unleashed?
Unfortunately, at the moment, Horizon, Cat, just like, well, what can you say? I mean, those characters are just broken.
So even with the nerfs they got, you're still kind of like, do you think that the outlook on the rest of the league, not just you guys, but like the rest of the league will probably be the same, kind of the same compositions we've seen, maybe one or two changes here or there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I could see like maybe Bloodhound being played instead of Seer, or a lot of crypto actually with scanning like the man scan. I could definitely see like a lot of that, but I still think it's gonna be Horizon, like just Horizon Seer dominant, like Cat. It's just gonna be the same thing. Especially with Bang ult nerf too. Like no, I don't even think people are gonna play Bang anymore unless they just drop Seer.
That's what I was gonna ask. What, like, with the change to her ulti now with the cooldown, do you think there's a possibility that she doesn't get played, or do you still feel like she has so much utility that you think that Bang's still gonna be played?
I mean, smokes are really good, but the problem is that Horizon is just too good. Like with the way World's Edge especially plays right now, we don't play Horizon on Stormpoint. We're playing Bang, Cat, Seer. But so like World's Edge, we were playing Bang, Horizon, Seer. But right now, it's like the way that World's Edge plays out, you need a beacon because the zones are just like, I mean, one of the games in losers, we had 5 teams in Skyhook and the zone went Climatizer, like, because none of the teams had beacons. Like, but I hope Bang meta just like knocks the best Bang in the game, but I hope Bang meta does. I hate it.
What makes Knock the best Bang in the game? That's quite the statement.
Just as like his smoke placement and his ability to like, he's not greedy with his, like, we were actually gonna put Fun on Bang at one point because like it's, you know, Fun Bangalore would be like insane, but it was just like our whole reasoning behind it is that Knock is like not greedy with his smokes. Like he uses them for the team more than he uses them for himself, and that was like a massive thing. That a lot of, like, you watch a lot of Bangalores, they'll smoke their feet in with Digi and just try to just kill a full team. Sweet's actually a big advocate of that, of the smoking his feet with a Digi, shooting the whole team.
Okay, I have a question. How did you get your name Sykes? Like, what made you think, oh yeah, that's the name for me?
I feel like haven't I told you this story before, E? I think I just stole it. I'm not kidding. I literally think I saw someone with the name Sykes, and I was like, literally like 17 or something on console. I was like, I never thought I was gonna make it or anything. I was just like, that's a cool name. I'm gonna take that. And then at first it had like another S in front of it because couldn't get there, like the one with one S obviously, but I think that was the origin of the name.
Super simple and sweet. And then to follow that, one more question. How is it playing with 2 Brandons on the team? And then you said that you had a story that involved that.
I mean, it's definitely an experience. Anytime we have to book flights for ALGS or hotels or anything, it's just like they always get them confused. And the story about that is that we went to check in to our hotel at London, and when we got there, you're supposed to get 2 rooms, right? Obviously, you have 3 people on a team, which means 2 people had to stay in the same room. One person gets their own room. Um, we went to check in. And we were doing our last name, so Singer and Groombridge, and they were like, "There's no Singer," and we were all so confused. We were like, "There has to be a Singer. There's no way they would have booked us one room for 3 people." And they actually had the name, because apparently it's been like this for years now. That didn't happen at the first land, to my knowledge. They have Nocturnal's name set as Brandon. So the hotel room was under Brandon, which is just like, I mean, you got 2 Brandons on the team. What can you do? I don't know, I guess.
Brandon sounds like a pretty sick like country music singer name.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Straight out of Talladega Nights.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I kind of wanted to go back. You were talking about the origin of your name. I do want to get into the origin of just you in gaming in general, because I think everybody has like their own different background when it comes to this. Some people have been playing for a long time, and it actually looks like you have more of a like esports. You were talking about Call of Duty earlier, going to Vegas to go see Call of Duty. Was Apex your first game that you wanted to play competitively, or have there been other games in the past that people may not know about?
The first game I wanted to play competitively was COD, but the issue with that is COD is like very gatekept in a way. It's kind of like the people that are like next up, you kind of know about them from like the time they're like 15 up until they become a pro, pretty much. And I didn't start gaming until I was 18 or 19, so I got into gaming like super late. And at that point, to me, I was kind of like, it's already like too late, basically. Never really.
So that's a first. I don't think we've ever had somebody talk about getting into gaming at 18, 19. Usually it's like, as long as I can remember, I've had a controller in my hand. Talk about that. Like, what got you into gaming so late? Like, was there a reason? Just kind of go through your story, your history with gaming.
Well, I mean, it's pretty like, I didn't have internet growing up. I didn't get internet until literally like sophomore year of high school, I think, or junior. No, it was actually junior year. I didn't get internet until junior year of high school, and whenever I got it, I played like a lot of like PUBG, a lot of Apex, but I played like a lot of COD. Like Black Ops 4 was like my favorite game I've like ever played. But at my early life, I would only get to play on the weekends because I would go to a friend's house, and I lived basically in the middle of like, at the moment I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's hard for me to like get to anything, like. So I'd have to go like 45 minutes to a friend's house. I'm not even kidding, on the weekends when I was younger. And I would get there and I would play like Lego Star Wars, stuff like that. I played Skyrim growing up. Dynasty Warriors on the PlayStation 2. But I have an absurd amount of hours in Skyrim that I am just like disgusted to like say, basically.
We got to hear it.
I probably have, I'm not kidding, no troll, I probably have close to 10,000 hours in Skyrim.
Good lord.
I played Skyrim. That was the only game I had, and I played Skyrim from the time it released until I got internet. And it released in 2011. I'm pretty sure 2011. Quote me on that.
I mean, you've
done every side quest,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
like you got
I've
to.
done
or is there
everything.
still some things that you haven't done in Skyrim?
I've actually done everything except for there was one quest where you have to like go around and you have to like collect these like shards for like a crown, and it's just like, dude, I was not doing all that. It was just, it always just seemed like too much. I never did it.
Are we ever gonna see a? I know it's a rare sighting to see a Psych stream, and it would be even rarer sighting to see a Skyrim Psych stream. Are there any chances of that ever happening?
Probably not. When I play now, like my whole shift in gaming, like with the way that I think about games, is like kind of changed. And now when I play anything casually, like if I hop on something casually, I get so bored. So I hop on for, I'm not kidding, I started Cyberpunk, Red Dead Redemption, and another game, and I didn't finish any of them. I got like literally an hour or two into all of them, and I just quit. My friend Nelson, who coaches Sentinels, was like, he had a hand injury and he couldn't play, and he was like, dude, just like hop in court and stream some games. I was like, dude, I just like can't do it. Like, I just can't do it. They're so boring.
So you always had the interest to play. You just didn't have the internet to do it. Did you have any of the knowledge of like the esports going on around you, and like did you participate in watching? You just couldn't really like, play them?
No, I had no clue. Like, I had no idea like what esports even was. Like, I would say the first time I ever did anything competitive in gaming was offline Halo 3. I was playing with my stepbrother, and the only memory I have is I was beating him so bad in 1v1s that he wouldn't let me play. He would like actually not let me play. That's my first memory of anything like versing anyone else.
That was going to lead into my other question too. Like, even though you didn't get to play very often, and you would just have to like go to a friend's house to play certain games, did you always kind of have a feeling, or were you always kind of better than the people you were playing against when you did get to play?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was pretty like, I noticed it like very on that I was like better than like everyone that I played against. Like, I mean, obviously on the weekends I would play like the occasional Black Ops 2, like, and I would just load into pubs, and I would play a lot of like gun game. That was like the main thing, and I was gross at gun game, like, and I just knew I was like better than everyone in gun game pretty much. And then my brother reset my account, so.
Damn. Well, that's an incredible story, and it's crazy to see how far you've come since then. We'll get more into that later, but let's move into champs here a little bit, because now we have the big kahuna. This is the one for all the marbles, and everybody's talked about how consistent XSET is, but the one thing we can't say yet is they're champions. We haven't been able to say that quite yet. Going into champs, I'm sure that's on your guys' mind. You guys want to take this one home, and it seems like you got a lot of the other stuff out of the way that you needed to, the conversations, all that. What's the focus going into champs here? Obviously, it's to win, but is there anything else you guys are working on leading into it to make sure that you guys give yourselves the best chance to win?
I mean, obviously I don't want to like go too into the playbook, but in my opinion, we had a bad habit of like, just because you landed an edge POI doesn't mean you always have to play edge. That's a little note for any team that's like coming up in the challenger scene or anything like that. If you land SkyWest Trials and you have a zone that goes Lava Fissure or Climatizer, you don't have to get kitted up every game. You can just, hit an evac tower, take your pryos, get good spots. And I think that's something that we're going to try to definitely focus on going more into champs, because right now zone is so broken at the moment. And keeping the vibes good too, I guess. Got to keep the vibes good.
Finn, you ready for the double tap?
Yeah. So before I get into the double tap, we had a featured guest, Rambo, on Twitter. We tweeted out, does anybody have any questions for Sykes? And he, of course, responded and said, why does Sykes back cap in custom control games? And I would love to know what that specifically means, and why do you do that?
It's a little joke we have. Obviously back capping is like, you spawn at A, they spawn at C, you just run to C flag, and you just start capping their flag when no one's there. So basically, I was playing custom control one morning with Bo and with his viewers, and me and him were just chilling at Cord, and someone started capping my home flag, and I ran to see who it was, and I killed Bo back capping, and now he loves to tell everyone that he caught me back capping in custom control. He loves to tell everyone that.
So you're saying that it happened the other way around?
Yes, it actually happened.
You're trying to say that this is just defamation?
No, it actually is. He is plotting for sure.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna get into double tap, which essentially is I'll say a statement and then you respond with one or two words to describe that statement, and we'll do it quickly. Does that make sense?
Yep, got you.
Okay. Number 1, best roller player in the world.
Me.
Number 2, hardest part about competitive Apex.
RNG.
Number 3, best gun loadout.
Nemesis R9.
Number 4, your mindset going into champs.
Win.
Number 5, difference between you and every other roller player.
I'm him.
Nice.
That was the fastest. That was the fastest double tap's ever been done in the history of double tap. That was incredible.
With conviction.
Like no hesitation. That was the fastest it's ever been done. Usually people will sit there for like, this is them for 5 seconds. Who's the best controller player? Me. Just move right on. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. E, you want to hit him with it?
Yeah. Yeah, but before then, can we get a little insight into your experience? Like, since we got the background of you as a video game player in general, but can you go through your journey as someone who like just started playing Apex to reaching the status you're at now? And as well as a side question, have you paid Watson from the one tourney? I forget what tourney was that. It was
the Samsung Odyssey.
The Samsung. Okay, yeah, I knew it was like a phone tourney. Has Watson sent an invoice?
He's definitely poked my line a couple times for sure, but he will not be seeing any of that. Shout out Watson though. He walked so I could run. What a tournament that was. Can we actually like?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Give us the breakdown of your journey through, because that was like your first big time of like being able to walk away and be like, I made a substantial amount of money playing Apex.
I mean, that was actually. My mom was like, very not. She supported me, but she basically was better about it than probably most people's parents are. I basically told her like, hey, like I'm really good, give me a year like to like make any kind of money, like do anything. And then I basically like just played the Samsung Odyssey tourney with Sweet and Zero. It's just we won by 40 points. So
on the Gibby.
On the
Gibby.
Like the most versatile controller player in the game, dude. Come on.
Oh, okay.
He already said he was the greatest.
I mean,
so up until then, you were pretty much just doing like the ranked thing. How did you go about going from like console to then your journey through PC and then eventually getting into comp?
Honestly, like I know it sounds super like I guess not cliche is not really a word. It's kind of happened. Like like literally me going pro just happened. Like getting picked up by Liquid, there was never really like I made some LFTs here and there, but nothing like crazy. Like I grinded ranked with Watson. We were 1, 2, and 3 pred for a bit. Met Hodsick through that. Guild was still on the team then. Played with Hodsick and Vax. Hod thought I was really good. And then obviously Guild leaves after champs. That was just like Hod thought I was really good. I actually met him at Raleigh because I live in South Carolina. So I went to Raleigh, met Hod, and whenever he was so drunk when I first met him after finals, and he was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, we used to make this joke that he would always call Guild the best controller player, and I would be like, all right, like I'm not competing, so I'll be the second best controller player for now. And when I walked up to him, I was like, "Yo, what's up, Hod? It's the second best controller player," and he like knew who I was off that line. And then that's kind of how that happened. But I never really tried for it. Like, that's why I hate dude. I'm sorry. I'm a very big hater of people saying that they're gatekept or things like that. Because I just truly believe that if you're good enough, you'll make it. Like if you are talented enough, you'll get there.
Do you think like part of that's you're like you want to become so good enough to where people can no longer like deny that the talent there, therefore people will take more risk on you and like take a chance on you because you are that talented?
I mean, yeah, I think that's like a perfect like way to phrase it is that if you're just so good, like eventually you're gonna get picked up. Like that talent that's that good just doesn't get people just don't not consider that.
Well said. All right, so the question that I like to ask everybody who comes on, is because everybody that we have on is performing the top 1% of what they're doing, and you are definitely fit into that category with all the success you've had, especially since joining XSET. And it is, what would be one piece of advice that you could give someone that helped you get to the level that you're at, that somebody could take and apply to any field that they're working towards becoming the top 1% in?
I mean, the main thing for me, I always tell this to anyone that ever asks me. They come by my stream. It's my other friends. I always just tell them like the easiest way to make it is to be likable. Like, don't. The worst thing you can do, and I mean, you knew me when I first swapped. I had a mouth on me, like. I would definitely run my mouth to people, but honestly, the worst thing you can do is make people hate you at the start. Like if someone has a bad taste of you in their mouth, like it takes a lot for them to like that opinion to change. So like if you're just coming up and you're shit talking everybody, like people are not gonna want to associate with you. So be likable.
Good looks.
All right, man. Well, this has been a pleasure. It's been an honor having you on. And finally, like I said, we got the full XSET team on here. You're getting ready to go to champs, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on you. And hopefully, next time we talk to you on the show, you'll have a little bit of a little trophy in your trophy case. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely hope so.
All right, man. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. Thanks, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. That was XSET Sikezz. Thank you to Sikezz for hopping on the show. We really appreciate it. It was a great time with Sikezz. Interesting to hear his story. It's not even starting to like really online game till he was 18, 19. That's crazy to see the spot that he's at. He's on the most consistently good team right now in Apex Competitive. Before we get into the heart-to-heart and send you guys on the rest of your week, we actually do have some competitive news, lots of roster movement, roster mania going down. Finn, why don't you break it down for me real quick? What's going on with these rosters?
Okay, so first things first, iShiny goes to NRG as a coach, which is something that we've talked about on the show multiple times. Will Sweet accept having a coach on his team? And it looks like it is going to happen. And Shiny going to NRG, I think, will be big for them. I'm very interested to see the changes that actually happen from here to champs, but I'm hoping that they are significant in that whatever Shiny thinks that this team's weaknesses are, he's able to like spotlight them in a healthy manner or in a way that's conveyed to Sweet that he would be like, okay, yeah, like if Hal can do it, I think Sweet can do it, you know, whenever it comes to making adjustments. Number 2, Loopy goes to Optic as a coach. I believe Loopy was an EU coach. I cannot tell you for what team, but Loopy officially going to Optic as a coach. Once again, another.
I believe he was the Vex coach.
Was it Vex? Okay. I didn't remember which team, but I knew it was EU. So good pickup for them. I don't know much about Loopy, to be honest with you, but I do like that Optic's getting a coach. I think it'll help Drop kind of figure out the kinks in their armor that they have right now. So something to also look forward to. And a little sad news: Aurora organization is dipping out of Apex. Which, if for those that don't know, Aurora was for Split 1. They won EU, couldn't go to the tournament, the Split 1 playoffs because of visa issues. Very sad. And then the second, this previous LAN, they we're the team that contested DZ and lost every single one, pretty much, and therefore didn't qualify for the winners bracket. So it's kind of sad, but that organization has now dipped out of Apex. That team is still together, I believe. That would be Cleve, Ranches, and I'm missing somebody, but they're third. Now, the last one that just got announced today was that Madness is LFT, which means looking for a team. He did say that he is open to staying with Keon just for the Pro League spot, which is like kind of an old C9 situation where you just kind of have them on the team, even though we know that like they don't really want to stay together. That being Keon and Madness. It looks like Madness said that Shuby got picked up. By what team, we don't know, but I do have speculation and thinking that it's E8. Enoch will neither confirm or deny.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment, which is fine. But that was my first thought, because I was thinking it can't be a champs team, because there would be no sense in a team making a change right now unless you're DZ and you're Psychos. But I don't see a champs team making a change right now, at least in this time. Like, I feel like it's a weird time to make a change unless it's a team that's not going to champs. And there's not a whole lot of orgs that are not going to champs that are still in Apex. And one of those is E8. And it makes kind of sense with the whole Naughty situation, kind of still in the air before he even joined. And so that's my first guess. My second guess would be some sort of like a tier 2, tier 3 org that is in the challenger circuit that would maybe want to invest in a team early on now, like kind of like a Black Hand situation or something like that. But that's my first guess. Once again, neither further, we'll get into that later. I'm sure it'll become announced. But I'm interested to see where Shuby ends up going. We know Shuby's a really strong player. He's known for being a very smart player as well. I think his calls in fights have been really, really good. I think that's probably his strongest attribute, as well as his comms. So, yeah, that's the roundabout info for the comp stuff that has been going on this week.
Beautiful, beautiful. We love roster mania. It's the funnest thing in the world. Enoch can neither confirm nor deny. He is pleading the fifth. Okay, so don't leave him alone. Leave him alone. But yeah, so that should just about do it for everything comp related. I don't think there's anything else. And now I think, ladies and gents, we can throw it on down to the heart to heart and send you on the rest of your week. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gents, it's heart to heart time. Heart to heart time. Who wants to go first? Nobody?
I can go first. I'll go first.
Hit it.
I've been waking up a little. So for those that know, been working out. Very much enjoy it. I did step on the scale this morning, and I was like, I've gained weight, but I think it's because I've gained muscle, and I'm actually doing muscle evidently weighs more than fat. I didn't know this, but I'm learning a lot about everything. I'm pretty sure. What are you looking at me, E?
You didn't know that?
No, that's crazy.
I thought that was a fact that
I thought everybody knew that.
Everybody. Well, I thought I could go up to an elementary school anywhere in this country and be like, what weighs more, muscle or fat? And that they would all say muscle. I thought that was just like a fact that everybody just.
But now you know.
Yeah.
But now we know, apparently.
Now we
Arkansas.
know. But I have been waking up super early, and I think that there's just value in waking up early. And so that's all I really wanted to say, is to encourage you guys is to wake up early. I know it's hard, but I think my friend that I've been working out with told me if you wake up 2 hours before, so if you sleep for 6 hours or 6.5 hours, you get, I think, a whole month or 2 months more out of your year if you just wake up 2 hours earlier, which I thought was a crazy stat. I'm not sure it's mathematically correct, but there's probably you definitely get at least a few weeks if you wake up like 2 hours early, and like start reading a book or something. But I don't know. I would say just encourage you to do that. I'm trying my best. I go to sleep normally around 2 in the morning, and then I wake up and will go to work or work out at 6 in the morning, and then I come back and sleep before I go to work. But I've been enjoying it. I'm not gonna lie. It's a challenge every day, but I'm motivated right now in trying to get disciplined enough to where I don't have to be motivated to do it. So that's my heart to heart.
E?
Um, I would say for me, my heart to heart would be to just approach everything from irrational and not like irrationally optimistic perspective. Despite like what you're being faced against, because there's no reason not to. And to just also, as you're going through everything you're going through, just have confidence. Because I had a moment that came up this week where my confidence was definitely shaken for a little bit, and then I took some time, thought about it, like had a moment where I remembered who the fuck I was for a little bit, and then just got right back to it of I know I'm going to accomplish all of the things that I set my mind to. No matter what I have to do to get there, there's just no way I'm not accomplishing it. And so I had a moment where I went a little bit away from that mindset, and it was a nice experience to be able to have, and just an opportunity to remember, like, no, I should just always approach everything from that position, no matter what it is, no matter how difficult of a task it might appear to be, or how many obstacles are in the way of me accomplishing that if I want to do it and I have a lot of time to get it done, then there's no reason why I won't be able to accomplish it. And I think that statement can go for pretty much anyone with whatever they're trying to do and accomplish in life. That if you have a long enough amount of time and you're determined and you wake up each and every day trying to get a little bit closer to where you're going, that you're going to get there. And so you might as well do it with confidence and just knowing that it's going to happen. I guess that'd be my heart to heart.
Beautiful stuff. My heart to heart this week, I actually had a weird situation that I'm still kind of dealing with a good friend of mine. And I won't go into like the actual details of the story. Normally I try to just be fully upfront with exactly what I'm saying, but this one does have some subject matter that I really can't talk about. But essentially I got in a situation with one of my friends, and we were around a lot of other people, and I kind of got jumped for having like trying to defend my friend, trying to make sure he doesn't make a very stupid decision that could affect him. And it could not affect him too. He could end up just being totally okay. But I got jumped by a bunch of people who barely knew him, and who barely, I don't mean actually jumped. It was just like they were kind of going at me for trying to defend my friend. And in the moment, I kind of like backed down a little bit, and I just decided to remove myself from the situation and just go away. And I thought, it took me all week, and I was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was, maybe this should happen. Maybe this should happen. And I came to the conclusion, like, no. And I think it goes to what Enoch was saying, and just having confidence and remembering who the fuck you are. I was trying to help my friend. I was trying to keep him safe. I was trying to make sure he doesn't do something dumb. And these people who barely know my friend at all were obviously opting for the opposite side of that thing. And I've just come to the conclusion that when it comes to the people that I love and the people that I care about, I'm not going to back down. And even if my friend is like, you were being an asshole in that moment, it comes from a place of love, and I can find better ways to express that care. That's definitely something I can work on, but I'm not going to stop being who I am to my friends, because I believe that's how I've gotten to where I am today with some of my closest friends that I've had the same group of friends since I was like 13. I'm 27 now. And it would make no sense for me to try and let other people's influence and levity affect how I normally attack those types of situations. So that's something that's been heavy on my mind, because, you know, you never want to get into fights or discussions of like where you don't talk to a friend for a while. It's never fun, but I'm definitely not going to change that. And, I'm not going to change who I am because of that. And, I just need to do a better job at taking a stand for the people that I care about in moments where I'm by myself. Sometimes you're going to be by yourself. Sometimes nobody's going to agree with what you're saying, even if it does come from a place of love. And, yeah, so that's my heart to heart this week. Just defending the people that I want close to me. So, ladies and gents, that should just about do it. I don't know how to really transition.
No, I was
out of
gonna
that,
say,
dude.
like, yeah, you know,
like I'm still kind of fired up about it, but
Um,
yeah, it's one of those.
you
things.
know that thing whenever you're by yourself and you're trying to defend your point that you made like 3 months ago about a team not
like
making it to Sunday, but
yeah,
you're,
it's
you're
similar
kind of
to
alone.
that.
You're kind of alone sometimes in that.
Yeah. See, I can take a lot from that situation. See now, but see, at the time, Finn, I did say if you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it. I was with you on that. I was
I
on your
appreciate
side.
that.
Now, is it still funny? Yes, it is still funny.
Funny.
But yeah, unfortunately, this situation was a little bit more serious than that, and it's tough. It's hard to transition out of still being a little bit fired up about something and then just be like, all right, we'll see you guys next week. But that's what I'm going to try to do right now. I'm going to try to land this plane. Ladies and gents, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode, and thank you to Sikezz for hopping on the pod. We really appreciate Sikezz, and we really, really appreciate Team XSET. Thank all of you guys for hopping on, every single one of you. We really appreciate it. It was a great time with all of them. So we will, I believe next week, we're going to have our first full breakdown of season 18. We'll have a full week to play it and kind of get our thoughts, get our bearings on how we feel. And then we can start to branch out into how we think it'll affect comp, because we think that nothing will change, but there's a very good chance that things do change. So we'll talk about that the next coming episodes. But thank you guys for tuning in. As always, don't forget to click the link down below and follow along with all of our social medias and our Discord. And you can keep up with everything we do content-wise there. And ladies and gents, we'll catch you guys for another episode next week of the Apex the Podcast. See.